Hi, and happy Monday. I'm Janet Leonard. I'm the founder and CEO of Virtual Instructor. And every Monday, I do a 15-minute little tip and tricks on different types of software programs. So today, we're going to talk about animation in PowerPoint. So let me switch on over. And the first thing I'm going to do is just a little housekeeping. If you like these 15-minute lives, then, hey, Terry, nice to see you. So if you like these 15-minute lives, you can always go to our website, virtualinstructor.com, and click on the calendar of events. And so today we're talking about animation in PowerPoint. Next week, I'll be talking about some chart tips in Excel, which you can also apply to Word and PowerPoint, and even if you put charts in Outlook. And then on May 2nd, I'm going to talk about a relatively new feature in PowerPoint that's really cool, where you can actually rehearse your presentation with a coach, not a real coach, but an artificial intelligence coach with PowerPoint. It's pretty cool what that is. All right, enough of that. Let's pop over to PowerPoint. And for this example, I'm just going to use a template. So I'm just going to go up to File. And I happen to have already found one that's fun. This comes with PowerPoint. And so this is a little family photo album. So I'll choose Create. And it has a lot of pictures, and I'll change a few of the text, but I mainly want to show you different ways to do animation. So here is a cute little picture. And if we were just going to go straight to see this, I'm on Slideshow right now, the beginning, it just kind of shows up, right? So I'm going to hit Escape. It might be fun to make this picture have a little bit of animation. Now, I will caution you, especially in business, don't go too crazy with animation. I'm going to show you lots of fun ways, but if animation is used properly, it can keep people's attention. If it's overused, you could really drive people up the wall. So just keep that in mind. I've got this selected, and I'm going up to the little tab that says Animations. When I click on that, it gives you a whole variety of animations. Now I'm going to click on this little drop down, and you can have different types of animation when the object is entering the slide. You can have an emphasis. You can have something happen when they leave. And I'm also going to show you some motion paths. But for this first one, we're going to choose this one, Grow and Turn. So if I choose that, you can kind of see the animation. Now, I'm going to close this for a second. I like to have the animation pane showing because it tells me what kind of animation I've applied. So when you're on the Animations tab, if you look over toward the right, you'll see something called Animation Pane. And when I click on it, it shows us the animation pane, and it gives us a little bit of detail, which I'll show you in a little bit. All right, I'm going to leave it. We'll just change this to how about family vacation. Okay. And I'll just leave the subtitle the way it is. Now, when you're doing your animation, most of the time, when you're on the Animations tab, you can just click on Preview, and it will give you an idea of what that's going to look like. Now, there are a few things where it doesn't work as well, and you have to actually go to the slideshow. But there's our first one. Now, this one's kind of cute. They're blowing bubbles. So let's just go ahead and put in bubbles. And it might be kind of fun to make our own little bubbles. So what you can do is just go to Insert and choose a shape. So I'm going to click over here on Shapes, and I'm going to choose a little circle. Now, here's a little trick for you. If you hold down the Shift key while you're drawing a circle, you'll get a perfect circle. If you don't hold down the Shift key, you might get more of an oblong shape. Now, while I've got it selected, let's change the inside shape to make it, how about more of let's make it a little yellow. How's that? And let's get rid of the line, but let's give it an effect of maybe some kind of glow. So I don't know, let's give it a little blue, and let's do a green glow. So here we have a bubble. Now, all I'm going to do is copy this. I'm just doing Control-C on a PC, Command-C on a Mac, and then I'm going to paste it. I have a second bubble, right? But it might be nice to have a smaller bubble. So I'll just hold down the Shift key, go to one of those corners, and make it smaller. And then I'm going to have another one the same size. So I'll just put it over here. Okay, now I'm going to show you how you can have these things kind of float up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this first bubble down, and you've got to be a little careful. You don't want to go too far because you'll end up on the next slide. So I'm just going to go back up a little bit. but I want to drag this little bubble off of the slide. So I don't know if you can see it. It's actually off the slide now. And then I can go back to animations. Now you don't have to take it off the slide when you're doing this, but a lot of times it's kind of fun to have something just kind of arrive. So it's off the slide. And then I'll go back to this little drop down and I'll choose, in this case, I want to control the path it takes. So I'll click on custom path. Then I click on my little object, and then all I do is hold down the mouse button and just kind of drag it however I want the path to go. And I'm going to have it go off the slide, and then I can double click and you can see it kind of went off the slide. Now I'll show you how to slow it down in a second. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'll just drag it down, and I'm going to go back over to the drop down and choose custom path. And then I'll go on to this little bubble, and you can kind of see the path, so you can make sure it goes maybe a different path. And then I'll click, and now I have my next bubble. And then we have our last bubble we'll choose. I'll drag it down here, go back to the little drop down, go back to custom path, and I'll just click and have it go over here. And then when I click, all right, so I have that little bubble. Now, over here in the animation pane, I'll see if I can make it a little bit bigger for you. You can see that I have 1, 2, 3. And if you look at these bubbles, there's a little 1, a little 2, and a little 3. It always shows up to the kind of the upper left of the object. And right now, with this little mouse, that means that they are only going to go when I click on them. Now let's see what happens if I do the preview. So there it goes without me doing anything, right? It's just kind of going. But if I go to the slideshow and we'll look at the current slide, this is what it would look like if I was doing a slideshow. I'll go to the current slide and nothing happens until I click the mouse. Then one bubble goes. Then I click the mouse again, another bubble goes. Click the mouse again, another bubble goes. But I like it to be kind of automatic, one right after the other, or kind of going up together. So I'm going to hit the escape key. And that's where this little symbol here clues you in what's going on. I'll go to the first one and click the drop down, and you see it has a little mouse and it says start on click, which means it won't start until you click the mouse. Now I want it to start as soon as the slide shows up. So I'm going to put start with previous, and then I could have it, these all start together, which I'm going to do. They're all going to start together. And now notice there's a 0 there. There's no little mouse. I'll go back to the slideshow and go from current, and notice they all kind of go up together. So if I wanted to slow it down, I hit escape again, by the way, I could go to the second one and I could click on the drop down and I could say, yeah, I want it to start with the previous, but I want to affect the timing. So I can click on timing and I can delay it by maybe half a second. And then I'll go back to the next one and I'll delay this one. I'll say it's still starting with the previous, but the timing I'm going to delay a second. So now if we look at this, as soon as it does its little thing, you can scroll up and you can kind of see how they're not going to all start at the same time. So once again, we'll go back to from current. So we can look at this. I'm not clicking. There's 1 bubble, 2 bubbles, 3 bubbles. So see how you can kind of change the look of it a little bit. So that one, just to remind you, I had them all start with the previous, but I changed the timing of where they started. So that's kind of fun. All right, I'll go to the next one. And this next one, I want to just have the title, Fun Family Bike Ride. Okay, and then I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And now I'm going to drag this, but notice how it goes behind the picture and then it comes back again. So I don't know, this doesn't really have anything to do with the animation, but just in case you don't know how to make sure this comes to the front, while you have it selected, you can go up to the shape format and there's an alignment option. Oh, I changed my mind. We want to do it bring forward. Now, if you click on it, I don't want to just bring it forward. I want to bring it to the front. So now it's going to be in the front. And then all I have to do is come back over here and I'll make it white. And now we have our Fun Family Bike Ride, which I'll make a little bit bigger. And then maybe I want that animated as it comes in. So I'm going to go back over while I have it selected, go to animations. And this time, let's try zoom, see what that looks like. That's kind of fun. And we'll have that just automatically when the slide comes in. So I'm going to click on the drop down and say start with previous. That means as soon as the slide is shown. Alrighty. Now, by the way, when I did that bring forward, if you think about if you cut out, say, 4 or 5 little pieces of construction paper, if you want one to show on top of the other, you just position it, right? So the one you want on the top, you would bring forward. So that's basically, you can think of all these things as little pieces of construction paper, and you just determine what sits on top when PowerPoint's showing it. All right. So now let's go to this next slide. This is kind of fun. With this one, we have these 3 different pictures. And these might be kind of fun to use what's called grow and turn. So I'm going to select one and see how it grows and comes in there. I'll do the next one, grow and turn, and then I'll do the next one. Now, you don't have to use the same ones. Whoops, I didn't select it. There we go, grow and turn. Alrighty, now when we look at these, again, see they all have the mouse. But what if we want them to all go at the same time? So we could click on the drop down of the first one and say start with previous. And in this case, let's just have them all start with the previous. So they all go at the same time. So we'll go to this last one, start with previous. Now you can do any combination you want. All right, now we'll go to this next one. And this is kind of fun. Maybe with this one, we're going to do, let's try wipe and see what that looks like. So we'll click on wipe and see how that wipes. And now notice how it's wiping up. So I'll choose this one and see how it's going up. And then I'll choose this one and see how it's going up. So this one, I think it'd be kind of fun if it went the opposite direction. So a lot of times when you choose these, after you choose whatever animation you want, you can look over here to see if there's any extra little effects or ways that you can tweak it a little bit. So I'll click on this one and I'm going to say this one should go down. Whoops, wrong one. I want that one to go up. I'll select this one and say I want that to go down. And again, these are currently all on the mouse, but I think it'd be kind of fun if they all go at the same time. So we'll go to the previous, show with the previous, or start with the previous and start with the previous. So remember, by default, it does the mouse. So if you just want to control it with your mouse, just put the little, whatever animation you want. And if you see the little picture of the mouse, you control. I'm going to have it all start at once. All right, we're going to do one more. And this one is going to be, let's put in places we visited. All right. And then I'm just going to go ahead and make it, move it up a little bit. And then let's do something kind of fun. I'll just get rid of this. I'm just clicking on the border to delete it. And now we're going to add some, how about bullets? So we'll go with a text box and we'll put in some bullets. So let's say we visited a farm, and then we visited a park, and then we visited a lake. Okay. Now, while I have it selected, I can just make it bigger, right? And then I don't know if you know about this, but this little button here, you can add a little extra space if you want to space it apart. So when you're going to be dealing with text, by default, when you go to add animation, let's just have it we'll have it fade in. That would look pretty. By default, it all fades in together. So see that one? That tells PowerPoint, hey, show it all at once. But we don't want that. We want to have first farm, then park, then lake. So we can click on the little drop down and you can go to effect options or timing. Either one is going to take you to that. So let's go to effect options this time. And so this is where, by the way, I'm not going to do it, but you can add sound if you wanted to. You can have it dim after you've talked about whatever it is. And you can have the animate the text all at once. That means all the text is going to come in. I want that, but see this extra little thing, text animation. By default, it's treating everything as one object. I don't want that. I want them to be treated as separate paragraphs. So I'm going to choose by first paragraph and watch what happens. Okay. When I do that, notice we get a 1, a 2, and a 3. And again, I'll open this up. By default, we do the click. So I'll leave it at that. All right, 1 minute left. So let's take a look at our slideshow. So I'm going to go back up to slideshow and I'll go from the beginning and notice that we have our first one coming in. Then we go over to our bubbles and they automatically come in. Then we go to our next one, and that because we had it automatically showing up, there's our text. Then we have these automatically showing up. And see how these went, the two separate, two up and one down. And then we have our places we visited. I'm clicking once for the farm, again for the park, and again for the lake. So hopefully that gave you some ideas of different ways that you can pop back over to say goodbye. Hopefully that gave you some ideas of different ways that you can use animation with your PowerPoint presentations. I kept it real simple, but if you're doing business, you can keep people's attention a lot better with a selective use of animation. Don't go too crazy, but animation can make it a little more interesting to look at someone's presentation. I hope you enjoyed that. Have a wonderful rest of the day. If you work with charts, then next week I'm going to be talking about some tips and tricks with charts and some things that a lot of people don't really know about, but you might need it depending on what sorts of data you're trying to plot on your chart. Have a great rest of your day and a great week. Bye.